Remember asking both my mom and dad why we never traveled to exotic lands. We only ever really visit friends, nothing to tell when the summer ends. We never really went buying clothes. Folks were passing on the stuff and
Rockstar families, and welcome to our weekly VODCAST. I hope that you guys are having an absolutely incredible weekend and staying warm on this very cold April weekend that we are having here in Virginia. I have a ton of announcements that I want to get to, and then I'm going to send you guys right off to our strategy session for the week. First of all, I would like to congratulate this week's rock star of the week, Mr. Noah Bird. Noah has been exceptional in not only his passion, belief, dream, and inspiration, but also just in implementing the Barrett Academy Constitution consistently on a daily basis. So incredibly proud of the scholar that he has become this year, and that is why Noah is this week's rock star of the week. A couple of things that we have coming up this week, guys. First of all, tomorrow night is Buffalo Wild Wings Spirit Night. The Buffalo Wild Wings right by 95 there on 610 from 5 to 8 p.m., sponsored by our PTO. On Wednesday night, we sent this flyer home last week, we have our 5th grade parent night coming up from 6 to 7 here in the activity room. We are going to be talking about a ton of different things, including any questions that you may have about middle school, about elective forms, anything after attending middle school orientation. Last week, Mrs. Gardella, our guidance counselor, will be available. She'll be talking about all of those different things. We'll be talking about middle school math. We'll be talking about end-of-year 5th grade events, and also about SOL expectations and studying with science, math, and reading that we have coming up here in May and June. It's hard to believe that it is the end of the year, but this is always such a valuable night that we put on for you guys, for all of the 5th grade families, so we hope that you can make it. There will be some refreshments, I hear, and we are going to have some door prizes, thanks to Mrs. Breland, our reading specialist. So I hope to see you guys there. Once again, that's on Wednesday night, starting at 6 p.m. in the activity room. Tons of valuable information available to you. A couple of other quick announcements. On Friday, we have our History Mobile field trip. I think almost everyone has turned in their permission form. Remember, the trip is totally free. Don't have to bring a lunch. We'll be eating lunch before we go. We're going to take off at 12:35, and we'll be back at 2:30. It's over at the school board office. It's a wonderful trip. It's a huge trailer that travels all across Virginia, teaching about the history of the Civil War here in Virginia. And as you know, your scholar learns about the Civil War in not only 4th grade, but also here in 5th grade in our U.S. History 1 course. So it's always a highlight of the scholar's year. They really, really enjoy it. It has a ton of interactive exhibits and displays for them to check out. So those are the events that we have taking place this week in class. Next Friday, report cards will be coming home for the 3rd quarter. And as always, there's going to be a lot of information and paperwork and different things coming home. So just keep your eyes open in the Friday folder each and every Friday, and maybe throughout the week if I have to get it home a little sooner for all of those upcoming events. Just one quick reminder, don't forget to turn in those middle school elective forms. Have your scholar bring them in to me, and I will pass them along to Mrs. Gardella as soon as possible. And if you have any questions, you can bring them to our 5th grade parent information night coming up on Wednesday, and you are certainly allowed and encouraged to bring your scholar for that night as well. So at this time, I'm going to send you guys off to the strategy session, and I'll see you on the other end. Okay, Room 21 Rockstars, I'm starting you off on our classroom webpage, RikardRockstars.weebly.com. I have a ton of awesome strategies to get to this week, but I wanted to show you a few things on the homepage really quickly before we get going. First of all, Parent Information Night is coming up on Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. Make sure you encourage your families to come along. I talked about that in the beginning of the VODcast. Okay, obviously our Grammaries are also coming up on May 9th, 2016. It is going to be an incredible day of celebrating your amazing writing and the writers that you have become. So make sure you're continuing to work on your Grammaries at home and at school whenever I'm giving you that available time to do so. If you have any questions about those, make sure you talk to me about that. Our SOL studying for the week basically involves plants. Tomorrow we're going to look at parts of a flower, Tuesday, photosynthesis, Wednesday, pollination and dormancy, and Thursday we'll look at animal adaptations. Remember, you will not have your first quiz until Tuesday of this week. We'll review tomorrow, have our first quiz on parts of a flower on Tuesday, and that will go from there. You guys have been doing a very nice job with those, so keep up the great work. Make sure you continue studying for those. And remember, I have right here and here, the study guides that come along. So if you forget something at school one day, just jump on here, and I have everything available for you in case you forget any of those items at school. So let's go on over to the VODCAST section, the VODCAST tab of our web page. A couple of things that you guys can look at this week. We are wrapping up our customary and metric measurement unit. So I have a few things that you can check out, a few areas you can practice, and drumroll please, this is a double house point week. So anything that you complete this week on either the back of our classroom newsletter or on recordrockstars.weebly.com is worth double the house points. So I have a customary and a metric practice page. And one of our 5th grade standards that I've been talking to you guys about is actually estimating, using the correct unit and just making a general estimate of how long something is, the mass or weight of something, the volume of something, and later this week we'll be talking about the temperature of things. So what is a better estimate for the weight of a microwave? Well, tons or pounds. So you got to go back to the idea of the benchmark measurements that we created earlier last week in class, and I know that a pound is about a loaf of bread and a ton is about the size of a bread truck. So I'm thinking that the weight of a microwave is probably going to be closer to 33 pounds than 33 tons. So for each of these, please make sure that you write down your work. You can get 1 house point for each, but because this is a double house point week, they're worth 2. I also have a metric unit IXL page that gives you the same type of topics where you can practice using the units and finding appropriate estimates. Now, I kept up the perimeter, area of a right triangle, area, and volume pages just in case you want to check those out. But I did insert a new document this week where I have talked about different items that you might find at home, and I want you to make a reasonable estimate. So I'm just going to choose one right now, and we're going to do it together. If you write these down, give me a reasonable estimate, and justify your answer. Okay, why would you say that? You can get 2 house points for each, but because this is a double house point week, those would be worth 4. So we're going to go ahead and choose right now the mass of a cat. Now, first of all, I know that mass signals to me that I'm using the metric system. I'm trying to figure out how much matter is within an object. And remember, the mass of that cat would not change unless it lost a leg or something else. Okay, so the mass of a cat, first of all, I'm thinking about what units do I have to measure the mass of something. And I have grams or kilograms. So a gram, we said, is equivalent to a 1 paperclip, and a kilogram was equivalent to about a baseball bat. So my estimate would be probably between 1 and 2 kilograms. Okay, and then beside that, you're going to want to justify that, and that's kind of what we just talked about before. Well, I know a gram is equivalent to about 1 paperclip, and a kilogram is equivalent to about the weight, the mass of a baseball bat. So 1 to 2 kilograms in my using my schema sounds kind of reasonable for that measurement. You can complete each of these for 2 house points, bring those into class, but because it's double, you can get 4 for each. If you haven't worked on the perimeter and area problems, those are also 2 apiece, and you can double for 4. Those were there last week. Okay, so those are up as well. What questions do you have at this time after reading the first 5 chapters of Number the Stars? These questions are, we're learning a lot more in Number the Stars about the compassion and the kindness of the Danish people during the Holocaust in trying to protect the Jews. So what questions do you have, or what questions do you have after reading both Hannah's Suitcase and Number the Stars, and what are the differences there? What approach did the author take? We have nonfiction and we have historical fiction both teaching us things about the Holocaust. So 2 incredibly different perspectives. If you post on here, I'll go ahead and give you 5 house points. We had some awesome posts last week, by the way. So keep up the great work. And then our writing fix of the week, I thought this one was cool. You can bring this in this week. We'll read it during sacred writing time. I want you to invent a game played entirely underwater. Explain it and convince me that it's a great sport. So you have to do some persuasion here. So think of something that could be played entirely under water that has never been used before. Explain the game and then convince me that it's a really great game or sport to play in the first place. Okay, and then I will give you 5 house points along those lines as well. The secret hashtag for the week, which is typically 5 house points, but because it's a double house point week, it is 10 house points, is going to be hashtag solar power. Hashtag solar power. That will make sense later in the week. It's going to be pretty awesome indeed. That hashtag is worth 10 altogether for the week. So, at this time, I'm going to send you guys back over to Mr. Reichert in. Okay, Room 21 Rockstar families, I hope that those strategies were successful. As always, give me some feedback. Were they too much, too little? And I will adjust accordingly because it is all for the success of your scholar. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. I hope to see you guys on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. in the activity room for our 5th grade parent information night. And you can, if you can't make it that night, please make sure you pass along any questions you have about the end of the year to me.
Remember asking both my mom and dad why we never travel to exotic lands. We only ever really visit friends. Nothing to tell when the summer ends.